And now, TSPN News with Tom Slivick. Comprehensive news because in today's world, you need more than just sound bites. TSPN, streaming on the World Wide Web, and now on demand at tspntv.com. Hi everyone, I'm Tom Slivick and welcome to TSPN's News for today. We're in an in-depth format and I have with me Todd Riebe. How you doing, Todd? Good to see you. Todd Riebe, of course, is Amador County's district attorney. You've been a busy guy. We're going to see if we can get to, he had just come from a parole board hearing and we might be able to get to some of that, but we have three topics that we want to talk to Todd about today. We want to talk about the law enforcement concerns with Obamacare, and I guess there's some concerns there. We're going to introduce this stuff, and we'll take a break. We'll be back, and also Proposition 36, the three strikes resentencing that's coming down. And just 2 weeks ago, I believe we had a pretty big story about. Could have been the poster child for the three strikes. Can I have this done over? And I think they came to a good conclusion on that. I think so too. And we're going to go over that a little bit too and talk about what's happening with three strikes, but also realignment. And I believe that still AB 102? AB 109. Okay, 109. I'm going to write that down. I get that mixed up sometimes with something else. And we're almost going into a round two of that. It seems to me, and you might want to talk about it in a different term, seeing how you got to be more technical, being the DA and all that stuff. And so we're going to get to those topics right after this break with Todd Riebe, the district attorney here in Amador County. So stay with us on TSPN's News in Depth. You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN. Okay, during the break I was talking with Todd, and I think we're going to bring up the parole board hearing that you were just at. It's very interesting, and this might be kind of breaking news to some people because I've never heard of a lot of the stuff that you're talking about, Todd. Why don't you tell us
a little bit of background? Why I was down in Sacramento before the Board of Parole Hearings is because I'm the co-chair of the California District Attorneys Association Lifer Committee and the Parole Committee. And there has been a new policy change within BPH, and under Marcy's law, you can deny parole. You can either give a parole grant or you can deny it for a period of 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, or 15 years. BPH, without going before the voters, without notifying any of their law enforcement partners, victims certainly didn't know, DAs weren't notified, they unilaterally decided we're going to go look at all the 3-year denials that we've made and within the last year. And we're going to review them, and if there's been a change in circumstances or new information, we are going to consider and probably will grant advance a parole date. So earlier than the 3-year denial, you'll have another parole date. What this puts victims in is a situation where they have to 3 times in 1 year have to relive and have to go through all that anxiety. Once when they got the 3-year denial, the second time when they get the letter from the parole board saying, hey, guess what, we might advance this guy who did this to you or lady who did this to you, we might advance their parole hearing. What are your concerns? What are your comments about that? And third, if they do have the hearing, another hearing. So the toll on the victims is going to be enormous.
It sounds like one more thing that's turned on its head, because it's not the victim that's is seemingly being represented with justice, but rather looking out for the criminals, perpetrators, if you would.
Interestingly enough, Chris Ward, who is the president or executive officer for the Crime Victims Action Alliance in Sacramento, she made note. She said, I'm barely containing my rage right now. I'm so upset as to how there was such a total lack of transparency and a matter that's so important to victims. She said, I used to remember coming here to the Board of Parole hearings, and instead of the state seal behind the panel where all the parole commissioners sit, it said to protect or to ensure public safety was written. And she goes, what happened? What happened? When did that not become our mantra anymore?
Meaning what, Todd? That it's not justice? Meaning that might be the motto rather than public safety?
Meaning that we have seen a dramatic increase in number of parole grants for lifers in the last last 7 years. Okay. Dramatic increase. This policy decision it affects 60% of all the parole denials. 60% of them are going to possibly be given an advanced parole date and be released earlier than they earlier were told when they got their 3-year denial. We're talking about hundreds and hundreds of life inmates who have committed the worst crimes that we have that are potentially going to be released.
Okay, let's maybe, I don't want to mix anything up, but when we go to realignment, basically that was to take out the criminals that were not violent, were not basically seen as, I guess, really terrible crimes. And yet on the other hand, we have this, where the hearings, the advanced hearings are happening with the more hardened criminal or the person that's in for a much longer period of time. Are we trying to chop off both ends?
Well, I think that they're looking at any way that they can, given the 3-judge panel's ruling in the Coleman and Plata lawsuits, to reduce prison overcrowding. Okay? This is a way to do it. It's undeniable that it's a way to do it. When you have 60% of all your denials that are affected by this, you're talking about a potential release of hundreds and hundreds of life inmates, people who are serving life with the possibility of parole. Realignment, let's be clear, realignment didn't release people. It affected where they would serve their time. Certain classifications of inmates based upon their prior criminal history will always, and if they commit future crimes, have to go to state prison. However, if they don't have a crime that prohibits that, they will serve their time out in local prison, county prison.
Okay, so was that an intake issue? In other words, like new people never went in?
Yeah, we controlled the faucet. We controlled the faucet as to who got into state prison. Also, for parole violations, a small portion of those who violate parole will still be dealt with by the state. The majority of parole violators, supervision and violations will be handled by the counties. So it's been a shift from the state, largely in parole supervision, shift by the state to the counties.
It seems to me like it was such a dramatic shift, and I don't think there was any real debate. It just seemed to come out of, I guess, that law decree on that case that just more or less mandated it. That, and also, of course, with the fact that California voters wouldn't vote any more money to increase prison.
Right. There was a host of factors. It was a perfect storm. They could have never have gotten that as in the form of legislation that was vetted with the public, past law enforcement. In their wildest dreams, they couldn't have done that. But because of the 3-judge panel's ruling, the Supreme Court, when they appealed to U.S. Supreme Court for relief from that ruling, they didn't get it. So they had to release. They had to reduce the prison population dramatically, and they couldn't do it all by shipping them out of state to other facilities through private prisons. They emptied out one of the women's prisons in Chowchilla, and they put more inmates in there, but that wasn't enough. So they had to do something. I get that. I think that there were other ways other than the ones that they chose to do it, but we didn't have a say in that. It was done literally in the wee hours of the morning. It was one of those things like we have to pass the bill to see what's in it, and we're dealing with some ramifications of that now, and I guess we'll get to that later on. But
okay. So in one way, we're going to take a break, but it seems like I'm not sure if we're represented. The citizenry is represented in a lot of these decisions that get made. We're going to take a break, and then we'll be back with Todd Riebe, and I didn't put words in his mouth. He didn't say it. I did. Stay with us right here on TSPN.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.